Hey, welcome to Lifestyle Hacks Month. I am chatting with Nic Pendregaust. Nic, tell us all about you and what you do.
Okay, so Emily, I'm a menopause therapist and coach. So I very much work in the space with women in midlife in, if you like, a more holistic way. So looking at any kind of past trauma, where our sort of wheels come off in midlife, but that broader picture of what's going on for us when the hormone fluctuations, come along and make things a lot tougher to deal with it, whether it's any unresolved trauma, what's going on in our relationship, any grief and loss that we're experiencing, not only for ourselves in terms of identity, relationships, but what's gone on, in the past. So it's a much bigger picture alongside the what can we do to address the sort of physical and psychological symptoms,
Cool.
of perimenopause too.
So, lifestyle hacks. Like with this month, I was looking at, the sort of those kind of quite easy things that we can do, but I know quite a lot of them need a bit of a background, don't they, to explain why we're doing them.
Yeah. So let me give at school, I didn't like sciences, biology, neuroscience, psychoeducation. So I'm going to try and use some notes here and talk about it in very layman's terms, but to make the link between inflammation in our bodies and then the lifestyle hacks that we can use. So, research has taught us if there is already a sort of quite a high level of inflammation in our bodies going into perimenopause, then it's very likely that our menopause symptoms are going to be, exacerbated. So effectively, the higher the baseline inflammation, then the worse our symptoms are likely to be. And it's not surprising that any high level inflammation is induced by our lifestyle, stress. And also a big thing is social isolation and feeling, disconnected, in menopause as well. So, if when we talk about if sort of cortisol and adrenaline levels are elevated, in our bodies, then cue the inflammation that's going to affect midlife immunity, sleep, weight, mood, and the rest. So the key is what we can do to lower that inflammation in our bodies, and also recognizing that where that inflammation level is at, even before we go into kind of perimenopause. So when we talk about levels of inflammation, the reasons they might be up is that in midlife we're not getting enough sleep. Maybe we're talking, dare I say it, not wanting to be a Debbie Downer here, because I can be in that space as well, too much sugar, excess alcohol, sedentary lifestyle, high BMI, under a lot of stress. So then what we need to do is to say, okay, in that case, the stress levels, our sympathetic nervous system is on high alert, as I like to call it, the gas pedal is on. And what can we do with the lifestyle hacks to then play into the parasympathetic nervous system being more and rest and digest? So if that makes sense, then we can.
You've literally described early perimenopause me.
I know, yeah, and and absolutely,
I added in excess exercise as well, because I thought I'd go for the full whammy personally.
No, and that's absolutely. I'm glad you included that, because the excess exercise, we know sort of we do the exercise. I'm thinking, why, if I'm doing all this running and swimming, why isn't the sort of weight coming off? But obviously, and we'll come on to that, with lifestyle in terms of movement, we need to do different things to what we may have done 10, 15, even 5 years ago. So, and socialization can be a thing, too. So it's just kind of looking. And then we talk about what can we do if we sort of picture in our mind some of the old-fashioned scales. What can we do to balance sort of that kind of inflammation? And then it's cue the, dare I say, it's getting enough sleep. It's having a good wind down routine, things like when we go to bed, what our environment is like, getting up in the morning and getting some vitamin D and sort of walking, first thing in the morning, down to not doom scrolling in the evening, coming off social media The same goes with nutrition. You know, there's lots of experts in this group, so I'm not going to spend too much on that, but we kind of know, we all know these things, don't we? We know what we should be eating. We know how we should be moving with strength-based exercises, but we know it's actually harder to actually, to sort of, implement. The one I've kind of found quite interesting that I wanted to come on to was talking a little bit about hot and cold, exposure as well. So, people might do it already, but it's the sauna or the hot baths, because they do impact our body temperature, our metabolism, our heart rate, our hormone, production. So it effectively can lead to sort of growth hormone release and reduction in cortisol levels and improving our depression. Some of us, and it's something I'm tempted to try, is the cold water swimming.
Yes.
Or I've got as far as the cold showers, to be honest, albeit briefly. But we know that cold water, immersion can improve our mental health, our physical health can increase, again, that sympathetic nervous system activation, sort of initially, but in the event it does boost metabolism, reduces inflammation, and can lead to improvement in, our attention, mood, and cognitive focus. So, maybe thinking about that hot cold exposure is a good one, to consider, because I think we're aware, aren't we, of the sleep, the nutrition, the movement.
And the hot cold is so easily done, as you say, in the shower. It's not, it doesn't require any extra paraphernalia, any extra expense being spent. It's just having, and there's lots of literature out there about kind of adding a bit of cold water into the end of your shower and then increasing that time, isn't there?
So we can sort of habit stack it, if you like, so it's not I need to go out and find a cold water swimming group, and I think with all these lifestyle hacks, as I'm reminding myself too, as a postmenopausal woman, we have to find the balance, or what's right for us, in terms of our self care. We can do all of these things, but if we're not up for it, we're not motivated to do it, it's finding what our thing.
And we can get into overwhelm very quickly, which is again why I wanted to do this month with, little simple, easy things, because I think sometimes we do quite a big deep dive into topics, which is brilliant, but actually, just having little actionable things is brilliant for people to just go, I could just have some cold water at the end of my shower. Brilliant.
Yes. And the other thing I wanted to mention is same about the whole meditation thing. It's not for, it's not for everybody. And I know sometimes I do sort of meditation, sometimes I don't, but it was a few weeks ago when I was on holiday in Devon, and I did quite a few posts on it. It's just kind of getting out and being present, being out in nature, listening to water. There was some waterfalls, close by us. It's just being present and noticing sights and sounds. And I've recently, I think it was last year, I've taken up Nordic walking. Have you heard of Nordic walking with the old, poles? But again, it's just a different form of exercise and just getting out and, moving, as Qigong as well.
Yes, that's a lovely, gentle movement.
Yeah. And actually a gentle movement, but surprisingly, you know it after you've done it.
I know. The first ever session I did, I came away thinking, I've done nothing. And the next day went, muscles,
the sort of, again, that sort of gentle meditative stretching as well. We don't have to be going on power walks or, as we said, we know that exercise is different in midlife. It's more about gentle stretching, yoga, Pilates, Qigong, stretching. It doesn't have to be powering it out on a treadmill.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the gym.
I was going to add one thing about the getting outside and getting present. I've recently got a bird feeder. Well, if ever there's a way to just get present, you just stand there just watching them all. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a blue tit. Oh, look, there's a woodpecker.
Yeah.
Oh, the pigeon's trying. It's just, you're just watching them. You're not thinking about all the other stuff.
Yeah, there was something that just reminded me of, I look to get out for a walk every day, but a business mentor of mine said recently, well, why don't you just go out and not turn on the podcast? Just go out and listen to and see what's going on around you. Because again, as we women do, multitasking, I think, well, I'll go for a walk and I'll listen to that podcast and I'll do, and actually, no, just go out and be present and, notice and listen to what's going on, around you. So, if you want to put some music on, which I often do, but yeah, you don't have to be juggling the balls and trying to, accomplish multiple things.
Absolutely not. That's brilliant. Have you got one final tip, or are we hacked out?
No, I think we're hacked out. I think it was good to get across the hot and the cold this morning, because we don't often think about that and the benefits. And as you said, it's something that we can, habit stacking we can do at the end of our shower without becoming a cold water swimming, professional. So
yeah. And I'm just going to add quickly, if anybody does want to start doing cold water swimming, certainly across the UK, there are groups called the Blue Tits, who are water swimming groups.
Well,
I just thought I'd add that in.
I might look that up myself, because I was looking somewhere locally. So right, I'm going to, the Blue Tits.
Awesome. Thank you, Nic.
All right, take care. Bye for now.